YouTube family? It's Bolt SRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. So, I've got David here again, fellow SRNA. He's a second year in my program, and we are coming today to talk to you about being a male nurse. What it's like being a male nurse, what some things we've noticed about being a male nurse were back in the day when we were working in the ICU, maybe if we were treated differently than the girls. Anyway, let's get into it.
So being a male nurse, like, what's your perspective on it?
My perspective, so what is it, 10% of nurses are males? Yep. It's something like that. So you're a minority for sure, which makes you kind of like a special unicorn in the field. Yeah. People notice you, people recognize you, and sometimes you get a little special treatment, sometimes you get a little bit of some shady treatment, that's not really fair to you. Occasionally you'll come across a patient that has a little bit of a weird bias towards a male nurse and is a little weirded out by it. Or maybe an old lady who's uncomfortable with a male nurse putting in a catheter for her or something like that. So there's some dynamics like that. There's also dynamics with providers, like your nurse practitioners and your physicians and all that who round on the unit, and you work closely with them a lot. I found that sometimes there were some of those physicians that had more of like a buddy vibe with me and would listen to what I had to say, or I don't know, they seemed to regard what I was saying or my opinions on things a lot more than some of the girls that they would deal with, especially some of the physicians who come from different countries where women don't really have quite the same equal footing in their cultures. That too. Yeah. Right. So sometimes you might have somebody who may be rude or talk down to a girl, and then if it's a male nurse, they kind of treat you a lot more equal, and they don't talk down to you, and they don't really give you that disrespect. Have you found that as well?
Yeah, I definitely have. Especially when you're calling them at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's always tough calling a doctor at that time, but I mean sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
And I've noticed sometimes with the males, they may be a little bit more pleasant.
Yeah, they're not as quick to chew you out and say crazy stuff to you on the phone. And then your friend, who's also a female nurse next to you, is like, "Oh no, don't call Doctor whatever, because he screamed at me last time, and made me cry and all this stuff." Right. And then you call them, and then they're totally normal, and they're just they're not sweet about it, but they're not cussing you or anything either. So it's strange how that dynamic can happen as a male nurse sometimes.
Right, and then males are more likely to say, "Listen, you can't really talk to me that way."
Oh yeah,
over the phone at 2 a.m.
There were a few times that I had to stand up for myself to a physician, and they quickly, say, "Okay," like they're not going to escalate that situation usually.
Let's talk about assignments.
Oh yeah, that's a killer one. So you come in. I've only worked in the ICU, so I don't know how this goes down in other medical units. But in the ICU, you come in, you get 1 or 2 patients. Some of the patients are critically ill with balloon pumps, and they're all critically ill, but I mean some of them are more acute than others. And like balloon pump patients, or CRRT, which is continual renal replacement therapy, which is essentially their blood is being sucked outside of their body through like a hemodialysis type device 24/7. And you, as the ICU nurse, are monitoring all of the numbers and the filters and the blood and the urea extract or the fluids that come off and stuff. You're dumping everything and measuring everything and keeping up with all the numbers. And if something goes wrong, the patient could die. So those are critical patients. You usually have 1-to-1 nurse to patient ratios on. Fresh open heart cabbages are usually 1-to-1. I think, fresh cranies were usually 1-to-1. So there are various patients that are kind of like the best patients, I'll say, that every ICU nurse wants to come in and get because it's interesting or engaging, or less of a running around task workload. I don't want to say less workload, because that's a tricky thing to say. They're very hard work, but it's less of a scattered focus. You're focusing on just one patient that requires lots and lots of your work, instead of 2 patients that may also require lots and lots of your work.
But so, you're talking about heavy patients. I would get heavy patients.
Like obese.
Yeah, exactly.
Obesity.
weighing 970 pounds, I think, is my record. And I would have that. I had one person weighing that much, 4 consecutive.
So you're saying
shifts.
when you came in for your assignment, you're hoping for those nice 1-to-1s or easier patient loads, but you're getting the combative, throwing feces, psych patients who are 400 pounds, leather restraint, double leather restraints, who they've ripped through 2 of them, and they're cussing the nurses and throwing stuff at them, and those are the patients that you're going to get a lot as a male nurse. I'm sorry, I don't want to say there's a bias, but there is. You will get those, and a lot of times when I was a bedside nurse, they would openly, the female charge nurse or whatever would be like, "Listen, Jason, I'm sorry. It's not fair to you to give you this patient 3 nights in a row. But he kicked one of the other girls and he touched one of the other girls a certain way or whatever. And we just don't. The girls are scared of him. We need you to have this guy." And so you end up with that guy, and that happens, a fair often amount.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want someone like that. Doing that to the girls, you got to step up and just.
You actually get kind of protective over them, and you're like, "Hey, you're not going to talk to those girls like that. Those are my friends, and I'm going to, stand up for them." And usually, I didn't mind taking them because I wouldn't want them getting punched or hurt or whatever.
Like, so my name's David. I'm gonna be your nurse tonight.
That's right. Yeah, we show up in there, and you're like,
you're gonna.
What's going on? What's happening in here? What's your pain scale?
Cool. We're gonna be cool.
0 to 10. It's 0, right? No, you never put their words in their mouth. Maybe. But anyway, so long story short, it's not always fair. So, like we said, we don't mind it because we would rather us take it than some of the girls and get hit. And I'm also not saying that I did not have female coworkers who also took combative, spitting, angry patients, because they definitely did. Girls definitely can take those patients, and if there's multiple patients like that on the unit, and there's only 1 or 2 guys, then the girls are going to be taking some of them too. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I'm just saying, at times you'll notice if there's a difference in the assignments.
So, what's your take on salary? Who makes more, the males or the females, or is it just a myth? Is there something to that?
Yes.
Or is it just we're kind of manipulating statistics?
This comes up in research articles. It comes up in online blogs. This is a hot topic in the nursing field. Is do males get paid more than? Actually, it's a hot topic in all career fields, but it's especially focused on in the nursing field because so many of the nurses are females. So you would think it would be odd to point out a small subset of people like males and see even those small percentage of males, they're all making more than the females. The reality is I don't believe that males get paid base pay more than females. I think everyone starts out at the same base pay. I did know a lot of males who would work lots of extra shifts and overtime. They would, work themselves into positions. They would get extra certifications because they would get more money for those certifications. They would get on the heart team because there was a shift differential for that team. They'd work night shift for shift differentials. They would work weekends because there was a difference in pay. They would just do these things and maneuver themselves around to make the max dollars that they could do, even if it meant sacrificing, some time with the family or whatever else. They were more willing to do that. And I also knew females who did that too, but I feel like I knew a lot of males who did that. So that may skew the numbers.
Yeah, I certainly did that. The house soup would call, and I was well known to work any floor for overtime, so trying to save money for CRNA school. So I would work the tele floor, the medical floor, the surgical floor, ICU. I mean, I would work all those floors just whenever I can, just to make more money for CRNA school.
Yes.
My record, I worked 11 shifts straight. You said you worked 16 shifts straight.
I worked 16 when I was saving for CRNA school. I was a travel nurse and I worked 16 days straight. And I will tell you the income from it was awesome. Yeah. But yeah, it's killer on your body and your mind. But I think a lot of dudes just push themselves to those sometimes what may be like unhealthy levels to make more money and to save up more things. And I had to pay for CRNA school too. So there was a long time as a travel nurse that I worked a lot of extra shifts. So I think that is more of the reality of the situation. Is I think men are just more likely to pick up a lot of extra shifts Not saying women don't do that at all, because I knew quite a few females who did, but I'm just saying I think most of your guys are going to do it standard, and sometimes 60 hours a week or whatever it takes. They're going to work crazy amount of hours to make more money.
It's definitely going to skew the stats. Whenever we work significant amount of overtime. It's definitely going to appear as though we're getting paid more, but it's just time and a half, the double time pay that we're earning.
Right. Well, all right. Do you think there's anything else that we need to talk about being a male nurse that we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah, there's one more thing.
What?
How often are you being asked to assist in turning, cleaning, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand with the patient assignments, the types of patients that you'll get as a male. You'll also be their best friend at turn times. When it's time to turn those 400-pounders, which quite frankly in America in modern day is a lot of people. So yeah, you'll be the unit's best friend. Everyone, all the people in the unit are gonna be like, hey, can you come help me with this? Whereas usually everyone just helps the person who's next to their patient's rooms. They'll like come find you down the hall and be like, hey, can you come help me? I'm like, dang, you passed up 8 other nurses to get to me, but okay, yeah, I'll help, sure. And then you'll help like 3 more people in a row, and then as you're going back to your patient, someone else is like, hey, can you come in here real quick? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll come help you. Okay.
Like, yes.
Yeah. You know what I used to do? I used to bargain with people. I'd be like, I'll help you, but then you've got to pass you got to give my IV meds at 11 p.m. or whatever. Like, you've got to do this for me or whatever.
At least you ran a barter system. That's really smart. I wasn't smart enough to do that.
Like, I'm not working myself to death. Like I'm getting paid the same as hourly as you are. We're gonna help each other out.
See, I'd feel bad for the 5'6", 120-pound female nurse on my wing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wish I would have thought of that. It would have made life much easier.
Oh yeah, I'd be like, hey, because occasionally we had to do CHG body bath wipes.
We did those too.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, when I say occasionally, I mean like we always did it. But sometimes some hospitals had patient care assistants who would do it for us, so the nurses didn't have to do it. But a lot of hospitals, they don't have PCTs in the ICU. And so the nurses would have to do it. So I would barter with that as well. I'd be like, hey, do you want to do my chlorhexidine gluconate wipes on my patients and wipe their body down for me? Because I didn't care to do any of that stuff. So I would help them rotate or do whatever they had to do, and then they'd bathe my patient in CHG for me. So yeah, barter. That's what you got to do, guys out there. If you're getting abused on the unit, barter.
I so wish I would have seen this video a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now that we've touched on all these topics, I want to know what you guys think about it. I'm sure there's some male nurses who are out there watching this, or male nursing students, and I'm definitely sure there's females out there who are nurses watching this. And I hope nothing that we said was offensive to you or seemed like we're speaking from an extreme bias. You have to realize it's 2 males sitting here talking. I'd be more than happy to have a female come on and talk about what it was like being a female, and if they felt like there was any bias or any differences between the male nurses and them. So if you have any comments, leave them down below. Make sure and hit that like button and subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so it'll make sure to notify you the next time I do a video. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and that's Bolt Out. Hey YouTube, did you like that video? If you did, make sure and hit that subscribe button. And also, click this video or click that video right there. Those are all great videos, and we'll see you next time.